So we have a significant number of participants joining this training. So we welcome all of you to this training. We request you that if you're not talking, you can please put yourself on mute, so that will help avoid any feedback or noise, and then it will also help us retain the quality of this training. Yeah, I do hear somebody. I think Ravi, if you can put yourself on mute, please.
Sure.
Okay. And if you have any questions, you can always you can always type. And if you want to ask something, if you want to speak to the instructor, you can unmute yourself and ask your questions. So without further ado, let's start. So this is the Fusion HCM technical training, and this will be conducted over 8 classes, and each class will be 3 hours long. And before we get into the training, I want to talk a little bit, just a few words about ERP Web Tutor. So we started in 2012 primarily as a video blogging site, and then since then we have created over 300 hours of content, and we have trained over 5,000 students. And keep in mind, all this content that we have created, this is not a live training recorded. This is actually self-paced material that we have prepared so far. And we have visitors from over 130 countries. So we are really proud to be doing what we have been doing for the last 5 years. And I do see a lot of participants who have previously subscribed to one or more of our courses. So we welcome you back again, and we hope you will have a wonderful experience that you have had so far. And we have helped students change careers completely. So we have students who were in help desk, we have students who were in hardware, learn Oracle, and completely switch careers. And we will continue to innovate and motivate with one and only one objective, that is, we will never compromise on quality. So if you have subscribed to any earlier courses before, you would know that we try to create the content as clean and useful as possible, and we will continue with that mission. So that's about ERP Web Tutor. Now let me talk a little bit about this training and this Cloud HCM technical advantage. So there are certain advantages of Cloud HCM technical. So those of you who have prior experience in Oracle E-Business Suite or Fusion Functional, so you already are into the Cloud HCM market. Now, please, if you can, Mayank, if you can please mute yourself. Join the audio, Ravinder, in order to hear me, and it seems that everybody is able to hear fine. So is there anybody who is not able to hear or cannot? Please type if anybody not able to hear or having difficulties. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that that the session is going fine, and I will not know. So let's go back to the advantage of HCM technical. Now, technically there is no industry experience required. It is not mandatory, though it is definitely helpful. So let's say if you're trying to go for a Java job or a testing job, or you need to have some programming experience, or even if you're trying to go in as a HCM functional consultant, you need to know the business in order to succeed and in order to give the right solution to your client. So the biggest advantage of HCM technical is that even if you don't have any domain knowledge, you can still do well, and you will do fine with whatever is being taught in this training. And no programming language, no programming experience is required. So you don't need to know any specific programming. A lot of people might be scared of programming or coding. With HCM technical now in Fusion, you can pretty much survive without any programming experience. Now, having said that, there are different aspects of HCM technical that we plan to cover. So one is conversion, interface, extract, customizations. So there are some element of programming involved, which we will go through, which is when we cover the reports. Because when you build reports, you need to know some of the basic table structure, even though we have the data models that we will talk about in some of the future classes. Okay, and then you can switch pretty much from any background. So even if you are in PeopleSoft, even if you are not even in ERP, you can learn this and you can get yourself up to speed with HCM technical. And again, it has a significant higher pay compared to other technical roles. And let's see this. So this is from newboo.com. You can see that the average salary of a testing professional is about $45,000 US, which is about $23 an hour. But look at this. So the average salary for a Fusion HCM is almost double, which is around $85,000. So you can imagine the significant bump in pay that you might get if you are considering Fusion HCM as your career choice. Those of you who are already there are already aware of this, but if there is somebody in the training who is coming from a different background, I thought this would be a good motivating factor for them to consider Fusion HCM. And again, I would always encourage you to get some functional knowledge around the key business objects. You don't need to be an expert in solution designing, and all you need to do is get yourself familiar with the functional screens, the key objects. So when I'm talking about converting data, we have departments, job, positions. Get yourself familiar with the screens if you're already not so. Okay? And also you can see that the jobs are on the rise. As we all know, Fusion has been introduced in the market for the last 5 years. And the first couple of years, the product was not matured. But at this point, Fusion HCM especially is very matured. It is still growing at a very fast rate, 2 releases coming every year. So a lot of changes happening, and a lot of companies now, large companies, are adopting Fusion HCM Cloud. So with this, you're going to have a huge surge in jobs in the coming years. So getting yourself ready for that would be beneficial. Okay, you can see that there's a significant number of jobs on one of the leading job portals. Even if there are some repetitive jobs, you can still see that it is still a significant number. So that's all in terms of Fusion HCM Cloud, its advantage. So now let's get back to our course agenda. So this is what we are planning to cover as a part of this course. And I can still hear feedback, so if you are not talking, please put yourself on mute. That way we can avoid this feedback and the quality will be good. There you go, much better. Sorry, I had to mute everybody because there were some who were not muted. So this is our course overview. We're going to talk about spreadsheet loaders. We're going to talk about HDL or HCM data loader. We will talk about PBL, which is the payroll batch loader. We're going to talk about HCM extracts, BI and OTBI reports, some basics of workflow with some worked out examples, customizations and sandbox management. This is something that you can use to make the customizations, which is, if you're coming from an EBS background, this is a self-service personalizations. As you know, in Fusion, you cannot really customize the system much. It's entirely configuration based. So don't think that you're going to write some ADF pages or anything. We're going to try to customize the page that is delivered, changing prompts, displaying fields, hiding fields, all of that. And then we're going to have some security basics and examples. Now, there's a lot of topics here, and not everything will be, you'll not be able to uh, we'll not be able to cover everything in complete details because otherwise you're going to go on forever. So some of the topics we will give you enough so that you can try in your project, in your spare time, try different things, but we will give you enough. But all the key concepts like HDL, PBL, HCM extracts, reports, all of these we will give you enough materials and we will cover the topics so that you can get going from your very first project. Security is a huge topic. It is very, very new. So I'm expecting that unless you have worked in Fusion, you would probably not know. And this is something that is fairly complicated. So you need to spend some time learning and practicing the securities. Okay. So any questions so far? Any questions so far? You can please type. If not, we're going to proceed with our first topic, which is spreadsheet loader. And we are going to cover some role customizations and approvals. We will show you what the fundamental structures of security. We're going to build some custom roles. The most common requirements would be to customize the employee and line manager role, which most clients would need. So we will show you how you can customize and remove certain functionalities through roles customizations. Yes, we will cover that. And same thing with approvals. The most common approvals would be salary changes. So when a salary is changed, how you customize to go through approvals. When somebody is trying to change their own record as an HR, that should go for approval. So some of these very common examples that you will face in every project will be covered. Okay. So that answers your question? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So now let's move on to the very first topic, which is spreadsheet loader. And we will spend not much time on this because this concept has been taken away and is coming in a future release. So with Fusion, things go away and then come back with some modernization. Spreadsheet loader is one such example. So we are going to see some examples of spreadsheet loaders. Now, one thing, if you have any questions on the technical topic, please send your email to tech support. So I'm going to post this in the chat. So you can send your technical questions to techsupport@erpwebtutor.com. Please don't send it to admin or the usual contact that you have been using to communicate with the support group. So this email was specifically built to reach out to the instructors of this training. And there will be multiple instructors covering different topics here. So depending on, what we have done is we have tried to use the best skills available to train you on these topics. So I'm going to take some of the topics. There'll be other instructors taking some of the other topics. Okay. Okay. So now the chapter 1 is spreadsheet loader. So some of the prerequisites of spreadsheet loader is that you need to have something called an ADF integration add-in for Excel. Now spreadsheet loader, as the term suggests, it's spreadsheet, which is Excel based. So Oracle has tried to deliver this to simplify some of the common data objects loading. Now, it had a lot of capabilities prior to release 10. When Oracle moved from file-based loader, which was their primary conversion tool, to something called HDL or HCM data loader. Now, in that process, what happened is that HDL has a completely different framework than FBL had. And even though we have the spreadsheet loader, it uses this primary HDL or FBL framework. So when FBL or file-based loader was being phased out, they had some problems making the spreadsheet loaders work. So what they did is they took out the spreadsheet loader functionality and promised that when HDL was coming up, at some point, all the spreadsheet loader tools will be made compatible with the HDL framework and will be released. So the promise was to deliver in some future release, and I'm talking about release 9 when first time HDL was introduced. Customers had the option to keep FBL and also use HDL. So that option was there. And then Srini, who is going to cover that HDL topic, we're going to talk in more details about the transition from FBL to HDL. But for this spreadsheet loader topic, all you need to know is that spreadsheet loader is coming in release 12, which is not released yet. The instance that you'll be using for this practice is going to be release 11, which is the latest release right now. And we are one of the only training providers who have access to our own cloud instance. So you're going to use our cloud instance to practice for this training. So for spreadsheet loader, what we found is that even though Oracle has promised that it is coming in release 12, in release 11, in certain patch bundle, there are certain objects. We don't know exactly what objects, all of them, but at least some of the workforce structures objects like job, department, locations, these three we have identified that Oracle has given the spreadsheet loader functionality to load these objects. And over a passage of time with release 12, we are guessing that a lot more objects will be made compatible and we can use spreadsheet loader. So how to get started with spreadsheet loader? So when you go to your navigator, you will see something called this desktop integration. So you see this desktop integration. So you need to download this. And one important thing is that if you are logging in as an implementation consultant in your project and you don't see this, you need to know that the employee, some flavor of the employee role is mandatory in order to see this under tools. So if you're not seeing this icon in your project, make sure that you have the employee role. Even though it's an implementation user, the employee role is not going to give much, but you need to have that role in order to get this link. Okay? Good. So once you click that, you're going to see this install option. This is the Oracle ADF desktop add-in for Excel. Install that. And then once you install that, a couple of other important settings that you need to do in Excel is you need to go to your Excel options, trust center settings. So this is a mandatory settings. Otherwise, the Excel will download, but you will not be able to work with it. Okay. So once you do that, you're going to go to macro settings, and this document will be sent out to the training to all the trainees. So you will be able to get hold, and if you can refer this when you are setting your ADF add-in. So make sure that you check this checkbox, which is not checked by default, this VBA project object model. So it uses macro. The spreadsheet loader functionality uses macro. For Mac OS, what you should be able to, we will see if we can find anything specific to Mac OS. I know some of my colleagues sometimes tend to install a parallel and install Windows on the Mac in order to make some of this, at least the ADIs work. I haven't tried this in a Mac, but I will. Please send an email to tech support if you're not able to. We might be able to give you some documents, but we have to check. I'm not 100% certain at this point for the Mac. I mean, directly on Mac OS. If you have a parallel, if you have a Windows installed within Mac, yes, if you can go into your virtual machine and then you can do this. Okay. So these are the prerequisites, and now we're going to straight away go to the demo. The idea behind this training is to spend more time on the application than on the slides, because the slides are good for reference. A technical training, more useful if we see the application, we see the files that we need to load, so that kind of stuff. So let's go to the application. The application details will be sent out to the students at the end of the training. just confirm that you want to continue with the training. We offer money back guarantee. So if you're not happy with any part of it, let us know. There'll be full refund. And if you decide to continue, please confirm, or you just don't ask for a refund. That means that you are continuing with it, and the instance details and the login credentials will be shared with you. Okay. So this is the home page. So if you have not seen the home page, the latest home page in release 11, if you're not working yet, so this is the latest home page. That the previous screen was the classic UI. Now this is the simplified UI, and this is where we will the Oracle is moved by moving everything towards the simplified UI. So let's quickly go to the screen where we are going to load locations, departments, and jobs. Okay. Now, when we are trying to do the spreadsheet loader, unless we already have the files with us, we need to go to this workforce structures under My Workforce. As an implementation consultant, you will have access to this area. And here you will see the key objects for workforce structures. You can see positions, jobs, grades, departments, locations. And on this, if you click on this little taskbar, you will see the rest of the configuration objects. Okay. Now, for this exercise, we are going to show you how to create a job, create a department, and a location. So location has no dependency. So we're going to start with locations, manage locations, and you can see that when you try to create, there's a little drop down that tells me that the spreadsheet loader functionality is available for this specific object. Okay. Now, if I go to the position tab, let me go to the position tab. And if I see this create, if I keep my mouse on this create, you can see that there is no option to create in spreadsheet, which means that SDL or spreadsheet loader functionality is not there yet. We can still use the HDL, which is the HCM data loader, which has more advanced capabilities. We can still use to load all of these objects. But the spreadsheet loader sometimes can be very useful even for end users. The primary objective of the spreadsheet loader is to empower the end users. If there is a reorg, they have to create 50 new departments. They don't have to come to a technical consultant to load those departments for them. Okay, so especially when there is an acquisition, in those cases there are some significant amount of this workforce structured objects that you need to create, which is where the spreadsheet loader is very, very useful for end users. Okay, so let's go back to manage locations, and if I click on this create, it is going to, if I click on create in spreadsheet, it is going to download this create locations spreadsheet. Okay. Similarly, if I go to manage department, I can do the same thing. So it's going to download this templates that I can use to load. Now for this training, what I have done is I have already downloaded these spreadsheets and I'm going to use them, and I've also populated this with sample data just to make sure that you understand that how to input the data in this files or in this templates. So let's start with create locations. So this is the same as what just got downloaded. So I just saved it with some data. So let me open this. And you can see that the moment I click on open, it is asking me to connect to the website, which is the cloud instance. So let me connect. So I'm going to pause the video for a quick second. Okay, and then let me log in. I'm going to log in as HCM user, which is my implementation user. And let me log in. So if you have worked with Web ADI in release in Oracle EBS, this is a very similar concept. So this is how the spreadsheet looks like. So you have a help tab, and this is much more advanced feature of Web ADI. This has a lot more functionality than Web ADI. Okay, so it talks to you about some of the prerequisites, what you need, how to use this book, and it also gives you some examples on how to populate, but most people would not bother not to worry about this. So which is why we have prepared the sample data for you. Okay. Now this is the sample data, and this is something that we will load. Now these files will be shared with the team. So once today's session is over, and if you decide to continue, you will get hold of all the files that we are loading, so that you don't have to look through the help. You will straight away see how to load and what kind of file structures, data that you need in order to load these. Okay, so effective date, very common. If you have worked on Oracle, 1/1/1951 is a common effective start date. Location set. Location is a set enabled object, and you need to pass the appropriate set if the location belongs to a common set. And this is something that even if you're not a functional consultant, you can get the input from your functional team that how the locations are being created. Is it a part of the common set, or is it a part of a specific reference data set? Okay, and this is the name. And what I would recommend is that once you get this file, what you do is you change this. So first we need to unprotect the sheet. So go to your review tab, unprotect the sheet, just like Excel, and replace this XX with your initials, please, so that we know that this is yours. I hope that there's no two people with the same initials. In that case, whoever does first, the other person will get the error saying that it already exists. So in that case, please, you can change your append it with a 1 or a 2 next to this XX. So replace this XX with your initials. So I'm going to make this as AM. I'm going to change the code also to AM. The status is going to be active. And there are certain fields you can see that there are drop downs, and certain fields you need to type in the code, or you can type in the value. You can also load the inventory organization. The focus is more on the core HCM side, so we're going to stay away from the fields that are not relevant to us at this point. Now the country, this is something I'm sure that we have audience from different countries, and it is important that you put the correct country, otherwise you will not be able to load. And you can see here under this address style mappings tab, you have the list of countries, and these are the values that you need to provide in order to load these. I'm sure that this is not a complete list, but this is what Oracle has provided. So if you are in the UK, you can put United Kingdom. You should not put GB, you have to put United Kingdom. So whatever your country is, you have to put the appropriate value. Okay, I cannot put United States of America, I have to put United States. And then you put your address line 1, address line 2, 3, city or town. And in the state, you can see that if you're in the UK, you can put the county here. If you're in Hong Kong, you have to put the area. And if you're in the US or any other country, you can put the state. And if you get errors here with your specific country, of course, I don't know the values or how the states or counties are entered in the system for all the countries. You can, once you try to load, you will see the error message and you can fix them. Okay. So for now, I'm going to purposely do it California instead of CA, and which I believe should throw me an error because it needs the state code and not the full state name. Okay. The tax district, this is something that you can use if you're using the tax district concept. If you're implementing payroll, sometimes this is useful, but not for a regular HCM implementation. I haven't seen it been loaded in any of my implementations so far. Okay. Now this is the county, and in the US, or district in Hong Kong. So you have to put the full name of the county, and depending on whether there's something called a geography validation. So if you have worked in Fusion, you can see that there are certain implementations where the geography is being validated, and this is some configuration that the functional team does. If you are using payroll, especially for the US, your geography will be validated. And I can show you that when you try to create a location, and you can see that whether geography validation is turned on, if you try to create a location from the front end, and see, this is where the front end experience helps. Again, you don't need to be an expert as a solution architect, but just be yourself, make yourself familiar with the screens and how to navigate so you can relate. You can see here these fields: city, state, zip code, tax district, and county. Tax district, like I said, is not mandatory, so this is not required for this demonstration. So if I put a city, let's say I'm putting Los Angeles. So Los Angeles is a valid city. It automatically populates the state. It automatically populates the county because it knows that. Zip code, the same city can have multiple zip code. And if I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's going to tell me, oh, this is not Los Angeles. This is Schenectady in New York. Okay? So there's a validation that happens behind the scene. And this validation is done using the geography functionality. Okay? So it is very important that in the front end, it can change itself. So when I put the zip code, let's say if I put 90020, which is the Los Angeles zip code, it will change the city, state, the county, all of this. Okay? Now, this spreadsheet is not smart enough to do that. So you have to provide correct values depending on which country. But if you're not using payroll, if you are in a country where Oracle does not have, or your implementation team has not loaded the values for city, state, these are free text, then you can pretty much pass any value in the spreadsheet, it will accept. So whatever validation is enforced on the address gets enforced on the spreadsheet. So any questions so far? Okay, I see that. Is there a way to know which fields are mandatory versus which ones are not? Not really. It does not tell you here with an asterisk saying that this is required, but at least what I can tell you is that the effective start date, if you don't pass, actually there is an asterisk. The effective start date, if you don't pass, it's going to create it effective the sys date. And some of this information, you can see it in this thing, in this help on how to use. You can see that effective start date for the new location. If no value is entered, the date is defaulted to current date, which you don't want, right? So some of this information is very useful. You can also load time zones. I don't know how many clients use time zones for loading locations. It's not very common, but this is what you can do. So can we update existing locations? No, we cannot update existing locations using SDL. This is mainly to create the new values in the locations field. Okay. The front end, the county defaults when you put in the zip code. If we put the zip code in the spreadsheet, will the county default? No, it will not. It will not. You have to put the values here. And we can try that. We can try to mess up with this and see how it behaves. We have already messed up with the state. So why not try something different? I haven't tried, Duncan, but let me try. But I'm almost certain that it will not work. So I'm going to remove the zip code and or actually the zip. Let's keep the zip code and let's remove the city and state, and hope that can we update the location using? Yes, you can update anything using HDL. Yes. Excellent. So we have the country, we have the address line 1, 2, and 3, and we are only trying to pass the zip code with the hope that it will populate the rest for us and see what happens. Okay. So for the time being, let's try to load this just the way it is. So simply click on upload, or you can also go to this tab, which is manage location. So this is coming because of this macro that you've enabled on your Excel. So here you can click on upload. And so since this is an existing file, I'm going to just double click on this change. So when you first download it, when you type in something to this file, this change marked, this is the column that marks this, that something has changed, it automatically gets checked. Otherwise, you'll have to check it if you're using an existing file. Okay, so this is the important piece. So you have to make sure that this little triangle on the change field is showing up. So try to click on upload again, and I always try to download all the rows if you want to keep this Excel sheet. Otherwise, it's just going to vanish once it's loaded. So download all rows after successful upload. Check this checkbox. And there's some error going on. So let me do something. Let me use the new file that we downloaded, because this was already uploaded, so there could be some issues because of that. So I don't want to save this. Let me go to my downloads, and we just downloaded this create locations. And let's enable editing, connect. Okay. So even if you are downloading a new sheet, you can use the sample data file as a reference. Okay. So once you go to this tab, give it a few seconds to load all the values. And what I was referring to in terms of this changed flags, let's say the moment I start typing and I will tab out of this field, you can see this, that this change flag got enabled. Okay, I'm going to put common set. I'm going to put AM SDL for spreadsheet, loader location, that's the name, XX SDL LOC as the code, the status is active, and let's put United States as the country. And we're going to try to bypass everything by just passing the zip code. So that's pretty much the basic information that you need in order to create locations. And you can also, populate the build to, ship to, site, all of that. But let's just try to load this and see what happens. So I can click on upload also here. Download after successful upload. So do you want to discard? I don't want to discard. I want to try and fix it and load it. So let me double click on this insert failed. Okay. So this one says the location code already exists. So let me try to, so maybe this is something that I've already tried. So let's do AM2. Oh, actually, I did not change this one. So I think. Okay. Let's try to load again. Okay, insert failed again. Okay. So as you can see, this error message saying state, county, or city components of the addresses are missing. So the Duncan that answers your question, we cannot trick the system in spreadsheet loader. We have to pass everything, okay? So now let's try to pass the values for cities. The county is the same. This is the zip code. I don't need the tax district. Okay, so this is going to be CA. And this is the county. Okay. So now let's try to reload it. Okay. Now let's see this. So I don't see any message. So I think something happened when I was creating the row. Let's see which one got loaded. So we can check the front end. So now there are still, since this is not formally released, you will see some small glitches here and there. So you have to be very clean when you're trying to configure this or you're trying to load this. Can we create any LOVs for these fields? No, this is all Oracle delivered. You cannot really modify any of these. So let me see if it got loaded. Yeah, so it got loaded. So the message was not very clear. So once you see that there's no error message, you can come into the application and see if things got loaded. Okay, and it doesn't have to be one row at a time. You can add more rows here. You can add multiple rows. You can load 50 or 100 at a time. Okay, and there is no such restrictions on how many you can load. Okay, so my location got created. As you can see, everything came through. So this is a quick way of loading locations. Very useful, very powerful for the end users. Okay. Let's move on to the next piece. So any questions on the locations load? So we are trying to do a time check. We are trying to finish the spreadsheet loader by 8 o'clock. Where do we define location set? This is something that you have to define in manage reference data set. That's the task. And when you define that, when you try to create locations, you'll be able to create that using that manage that particular reference data set that you have created. So that's more of an HCM functional configuration aspect. So from a technical standpoint, you need to know which set it belongs to, and you pass that set to the spreadsheet. Okay. The spreadsheet loader handle duplicate data upload. Yes, you saw that it said that it already exists. And what you can try is you can try to insert 2 rows with the same location code, and you can see that how it behaves. So these are some of the things that you can try out during the practice. Okay. Yeah, very good questions. That one. Yeah. Thanks, Megha. Yeah, that's right. So SDL is primarily to create, so quick create, at least as of now, that's what it is used for. Okay. So Srini has extensive experience with HDL extracts, ADP integration. So he is going to continue with the HDL topics. And like I said, it is going to be very much hands-on. We will distribute the materials that we have, but the focus is primarily to see how things are done in the application. Over to you, Srini.
Thank you, Arijit. Hello, everyone. My name is Srinivas, and a brief introduction about my background. I am from Oracle EBS background, the technical background primarily, and I've worked on an extensive number of HCM projects, and that's where my role right now is in the technical area of Fusion applications. See, the technical area not just only constitutes of the uploading of data, the data migration. We also have building of reports. We have data extraction, which is done via HCM extracts. And then in addition, we have some customizations that you do on the applications. You can also integrate the applications through web services. So these are some technical areas where one can think about the scope of work that would come in on any project when you're into a Fusion implementation project. In any implementation project, one of the key aspects would be loading the data either from a legacy system or creating the data from scratch and uploading it into the ERP system. So data conversion activity, once it comes to the point where data conversion comes into play, there is usually a back and forth of data that comes in from the clients, and you're trying to upload it into the system. In EBS, in Oracle EBS, usually people use APIs provided by Oracle, or they use web APIs created by the consultants. In the same fashion, Oracle has come up with a unified solution, especially for the HCM module, the HR module, to upload data from the backend. And this tool initially, in the base version, it was called file-based loader. In EBS, we use SQL loader. So file-based loader is a little advanced version of the SQL loader, wherein the control of the file is with the file-based loader. You cannot restructure your data or do anything as such. Whatever templates you get from FBL, you have to present the data in the FBL format and then upload it using the FBL process. But there were some inherent drawbacks for file-based loader, which was causing a lot of confusion, even among the consultants and even within Oracle development team. So they started to scrap Fusion, the FBL, the file-based loader, and bring out an advanced version of the FBL. So this is called as HDL now, HCM data loader. And there are some flexibilities and some hindrances from FBL have been overcome using the file-based data loader. So during this interim process, we along with FBL, we had the spreadsheet loader. Both were in conjunction because they were using the same framework as Aradeep mentioned to upload the data into the Fusion system. The HCM data loader has been modified to such an extent that it can support multiple objects. It has there are more business objects that have been added through the HCM data loader. One drawback with file-based loader earlier was we couldn't upload photos, attachments, images of the employees, or any other image files or text files. HCM data loader has the ability to upload these photos and attachments into the Fusion system. So there are many other drawbacks that were overcome by the HCM data loader, and even now the HCM data loader does have some bugs in them. As you go into the advanced level of uploading your data, you come across these hindrances, and then there are workarounds for them, which Oracle recommends. So in this particular course, we are going to give you a brief introduction of the HCM data loader, which I've just completed. And then I'll go through the process flow of how the data conversion activity happens using the HDL. And then we'll go down into the keys that are supported by Oracle, object references, how the dependent objects are referred, then key resolution sequence, the HCM business object structures. When we refer to the term business object, A business object is an entity that is uploaded into Oracle. That could be a location, it could be a position, it could be a job, it could be a department. So all these things are referred as a business object. And a business object sometimes has more than one sub-entities within it. And let's say if the worker information is also considered as business object, worker details, but it constitutes of the details of the person, their demographic details, like age, gender, legislative information, and followed by their address information, followed by their email. So all these are put together into one business object called as worker. So a business object, when we refer to the term business object, it means it refers to the entity that you're trying to upload. And usually there are some business objects which have a structure for them. Some of them are plain vanilla. So you'll just have only one object or one sub-entity in it. And then we're going to go over the zip file structure. This has changed from the previous version of FBL, if you are from the FBL background. There is a change in the file structure as well, the actual data file that you generate. This is just a simple flat file. And the flat file, the data in this flat file is pipe delimited. So pipe is the delimiter that is used in HDL as well. And then for each and every line that you put in this file, you have a certain set of instructions, and then you have file discriminators that will identify what business object that you're trying to upload, and the line structuring, line ordering. Unlike in FBL where you had to give, let's say there are 10 attributes for location. You have location ID, location code, location internal code, address line 1, address line 2. If there is a specific order, then you were supposed to follow the same order to upload the file or publish the data in this flat file. Whereas HDL is advanced, and the ordering that you give on your header line, and also you need to publish the data in the same order. So if you reorder your, let's say if location ID comes after location name, and then you're publishing the data with location name and then location ID, HDL is smart enough to parse the data and upload it in the right format, unlike the earlier version of FBL. Preparing and validating source data. This piece of activity is actually depends on how depends on how you want to do. There are various methods of validating the data that you're going to prepare once you get the data from the source. You can just use simple systems like using VLOOKUPs in Excel data. If the data is in Excel, you can put the data in an Excel sheet and do a VLOOKUP and just validate the data. If you have access to some PL SQL system, let's say if you're coming from the EBS background, you can build SQL scripts to validate your source data and then prepare this HDL data. Now that's an advanced level. And if the volume of data that you're working with is too high, let's say it's in some thousands of records and you more than like 5,000, 3,000, and it's not feasible validating the data in an Excel sheet. It's a time-consuming process and you're bound to make errors. So leveraging some PL SQL code to do the validation is another solution. In addition, Oracle also provides a HDL data validator tool. It's based on XML validation. The results are generated in an XML file, and then you validate those data. It's a little bit time-consuming efforts to even there. So there are various ways in which you can prepare the data and also validate it. The next thing is generating and modifying the templates. The HDL templates are provided by Oracle, and they will be available on the Fusion Instance system itself. You won't have to go running around asking for Oracle to provide the templates, or you won't even have to go to the support site for asking for templates from Oracle. All you have to do is go to the work area which is the data exchange area, and then you'll generate the templates. The reason why you're generating the templates again would be in case if there is a patch update and Oracle wants to add new column, or if there is a patch update that a certain field has been added or certain field has been removed. So all these updates, you'll be getting it from the patch application from Oracle, and then you would have to regenerate your template, and based on that template, you'll have to publish your data. Usually, the data conversion activity is a one-time activity, so you don't have to do this often. But there are times when you are in between of the patch releasing phase, and your project is in the same phase, in middle of Oracle's patch cycle, and then you start coming up with some bugs. Oracle releases fixes for these, and then you'll see that it's impacting your HCL load interim. Okay. The other topic that would be handling would be Flexfields. How would you upload these Flexfields? Okay. And reviewing of the enterprise settings. There are some dependent setups which the functional leads would be doing it for us, because they have access to the actual structural scope of the project. They would set up things in certain ways. For example, the worker information, when you're trying to upload, and they give you some specific instructions not to populate the employee number, which is called as person number in Fusion, because this instruction is coming from the functional consultant, because they would have gone through the cycle of the requirements, and then they set up not to auto-generate the person number, which is one of the enterprise settings. So these setups are done by the functional consultants, and you would have to always refer to them what kind of settings they have done, or at least you need to go into the system, look what type of setup is enabled or disabled, and then make the necessary changes to your data that you're publishing. In this particular example, when you're trying to upload the worker information, let's say the employee number has to be auto-generated by the system, and you're not expected to pass that value. So it depends on how the setup has been done. One another example would be the geography data. You would have seen right now how Arbit was trying to create a location from the front end, and he was keying in the address field. The system was validating the fields such as city, county, state, zip code. So all these values have been pre-populated as one of the primary prerequisites tasked by the functional setups. So they would upload the geocodes and the geolocation details into the system. And there is another setup wherein they enable the validation against each of these attributes, such as you can disable or enable the validation against county. You can enable, disable validation against the zip code. So if these values are enabled or disabled, you need to refer to these settings as well when you're trying to upload some address-related information. You would upload address-related information in a couple entities. One would be the location. The other one would be the person address information. Okay.
Hey, Srini, there's a question from Raj.
Okay.
He's asking, can we update an existing person number using HDL?
If there are any transactions that have already happened on the person field, the person number cannot be updated. I don't think the person number will be can be updatable.
Okay.
Yes. Because if you're trying to load or retain a legacy person number, there are some fields within the person entity which you can leverage to retain some legacy information in those fields as well. It's called as worker number, and there are certain attributes that you need to set before you upload this worker number if you want to retain a legacy employee number in the system.
So Raj, I'm just trying to understand the question here. That when you do a conversion, if the requirement is to load the legacy employee number for the existing employees, then you would load that number, that person number, using your HDL. If you are using Fusion to generate the ID, then you would not pass that employee number. Instead, the configuration at the enterprise level or the legal employer level is to generate the number. So I'm not understanding when there would be a situation where you have to change somebody's employee number. So there are multiple fields where if the Fusion numbering sequence is turned on, you can store some legacy or some third-party numbering system. There are some fields that is delivered by Oracle. So those things can be leveraged, but I am not sure if there would be a need to load the employee and then change the number. Some other questions you can see, Srini, that you can see the questions that they're asking.
Can we upload bulk update with using HDL? Yes, there are some updates possible through HDL, not all updates. What I mean by this is once if it's a fresh data and there are no dependencies on it, you can go ahead and upload the data. But if it is some transactional data that happens and then you're trying to update that information, and if there is some inherent dependency on this value, you will not be able to update it. And there are certain fields which you can update, there are certain fields which you cannot. Maybe you can update the location ID, but you will not be able to update the location start date or the end date because it is being referred somewhere else. For example, it's being referred in an organization in another way. So what would you do is, if you are doing an update, it will be in a historical form. So you will be giving you start dates and end dates and then updating that information. The system would refer based on these effective dates. It will pull up the latest data and that will be referred across the system. So that sort of update is possible. Does that answer your question, Swati? Okay.
Okay. So, Srini, this is Raj here. So the reason I have asked the question about modifying an existing person number is we got actually a requirement where initially while implementation we have made the person number as automatic and that started giving a single digit or 2-digit person numbers. The sequence was not specified. So the person numbers were generated like 31, 20, 25, 30, 35, 60 in that sequence fashion. So when we are working on integrations now, so the integration, the other systems which are supposed to talk to HCM, which are supposed to load the data from HCM, they are not accepting a very small digit IDs. So the IDs are very small, so they require like 6-digit IDs. So that is where we thought of to see if there is a provision to change the person number, to add a sequence to it. We can change it at enterprise level. That setting, that configuration will take into effect for the future person numbers being generated. But for the existing person numbers, we need to have a way to make those numbers. I think while we do integration, we can append those kind of sequences. But as a permanent fix, we need to identify how can we. Yep.
Okay. So I'm just giving you one solution on top of the thing. But to the actual question, whether you can update the person number or not, we didn't come across any situation as like in your case, you have a situation wherein you have to update the person number. But I can get back to you on that question. Most probably it would be no, that the person number can be updated. But an alternate solution would be you can leverage any one of the attribute columns that you have from the person table, okay, in which you will publish your new sequence. Let's say you have, for the first 10 employees, you have set the sequence to 2 digits and you have that. But down the line, from the 11th employee, you have a new employee number being generated. So you can leverage HDL to upload, let's say I'm using attribute 1 column, okay, as my reference column.
Correct.
And in this attribute 1 column, I'll populate for the first set of employees with a 6-digit number which I'm going to generate, okay. And from the 11th employee on, in my system, I will be loading the new the system-generated person number, okay, with this attribute. But this would be an ongoing maintenance activity. So every time a person gets created from the front end, you have to come up with a mechanism in the UI through certain customizations that the person number gets pre-populated in attribute one field, which can be hidden. Yeah. And then you'll have to, first you'll have to enable that field as one of your flex fields, and then populate it with this field using expression language. Whenever the user keys in that value, it should automatically come in, or whenever the system generates that number comes back into attribute one. And then when you're using your integration, you can use this reference. Other solution, this is one other solution. If you don't want to maintain the mapping structure in Fusion, which I would not recommend because there might be a big overload here, you can move the solution to the legacy system itself, or the system where you're trying to integrate. So you can maintain a mapping table at the target system, which will retain the same logic that I've explained you right now. You can store this mapping table in your legacy system or your target system, and that target system will have to refer to this mapping for its initial, or every time it tries to sync in the data or export the data out of Fusion into that system. Does this help you, Raj?
Sure. Yep. That makes a lot of sense actually. So
yes.
Thanks, Renu.
And then if you have any specific questions like this, just to keep the time check on the progress, you can send those to that tech support email, and we can review and suggest some solutions that might work. So if you have a specific solutions like this. So Srini, we have a few more questions. If you can take a look at those, that says that where do we configure these validation settings? I think these are all pre-delivered by Oracle. And then we have one more question from Kumar. So in EBS, we will use APIs to handle. So similar, there is a way to update. So if you can answer those questions.
I didn't get Maram's question because can you enable his audio?
Yeah, Kumar, you can unmute yourself. Okay, he's saying that if you want to update the data, so yes, so we will see that updating data using HDL.
In EBS, we have APIs, but in Fusion, we don't have access to these APIs. The only way you have access to these APIs is through web services. You can leverage the web services to update the data. And if it's a bulk data upload, you can use HDL to update the data. When I'm saying updates, it would be data effective updates. And some corrections are not possible even through HDL. There are some inherent dependencies on certain data fields, certain business objects. Does that answer you, Kumar? Okay. And in this course, we would actually walk you through the demo of how to migrate data using HDL. We usually segregate the data into two pieces. One is the master data and the transactional data. The master data would be locations, jobs, grades, departments, organization structures. Okay, Sridhar has a question. So there are no public APIs supported in Fusion for HCM. Yes, there are no public APIs that are not supported in Fusion. There are what is called as web services. If you are from the SOA background, you can leverage these SOA-based APIs, which are also APIs. Even Oracle is modifying this SOA-based APIs into REST APIs. You can make use of these REST APIs to update person information or any other transactional information into Fusion. These are your integration solutions, to be more precise. Sridhar, does that answer your question? Okay. And then coming back to the transactional data, the transactional data would be person information, salary, address, assignment, and then when you're uploading the worker information, you'll have their assignment details. If you're loading data from a legacy system or from a pre-existing system or some other source, where you also have, the employee wants to retain the terminated employee work history, even that can be uploaded. Okay.
are you referring to when you said 3 bullet points?
I cannot hear Norbert.
Yeah, I can't hear him either. Yeah, Norbert, I don't see you're muted. Are you dialing in from the phone? Let me just unmute.
Yes, I'm dialing from the phone.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
This slide right here, the data exchange, web content center, and file import export. That was my question. Is it all three, or is it just different ways of doing it?
It's 3 different ways of doing it, but it's the same task that you would be doing. The reason I've given you these 3 areas, usually when Oracle trains you, they will just tell you to upload the file from the data exchange work area. But during your project, we have personally gone through this experience, where during our project implementation phase, there were times when certain areas weren't working for us for some observed reason. The load process was working, but the file upload process wasn't working. So we didn't know how to upload the file. So Oracle gave us these workarounds to upload the files onto the content server and then initiate a data load. So these are 3 different areas through which you can upload the file. Primarily, you always use the Fusion application data exchange work area to import your zip file. And in case, for some reason, hopefully that doesn't break down, in case if there is a breakdown on the system, and then there are a couple other options through which you can upload the zip file. Does this answer your question, Norbert? And actually, I'm going to show this to you on the instance so that you'll have more clarity on what's happening.
Yes, that answers my question. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So I'm already logged into the instance, if you see, and I'll go to the first place where we can import the file. Okay. I'll go into Navigator, and over a period of time, the Navigator itself has been changing. It was earlier in this over here up beside the home icon, and now they moved it towards the left end. And you have Navigator, the data exchange. You go into My Workforce, and then you go into Data Exchange. The data exchange work area, there are numerous things that you can actually do there, which are related with importing the data and also exporting the data. In the data exchange work area, you'll click on the task panel, okay? And here you have the HCM data loader, okay? This is where you would initiate a data load. When you say initiate data load, this is only used for generating the templates. And the next thing that you would do is import the zip file to this work area, the import and load data, and also you can see the process, debug the errors as well, see what lines have gone into error, fix the data, re-upload them. So this is the area that you would be working more often. The initiate data load work area, you'll only work, you'll probably need it like once in a while, or in the initial phase of the project when you're trying to generate the templates. And the other case would be in case Oracle releases some patches, and then they say if you'll have to go through that README file from Oracle on the patch update, check if there are any updates related with file-based the HDL, and then you might have to come to this work area again to regenerate the file. So, and the other area is to delete the staging table data. The reason why Oracle recommends you to delete the stage data is to enhance the performance of your load process. Okay. Yes, Sridhar. Sridhar, what's your question? Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I'm just unmuting. I mean, you can unmute yourself, so Sridhar, if you want to speak, you can just unmute yourself and talk. Yeah, go ahead, try now, Sridhar.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Sridhar.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to know, like, the initiate data load that you were saying, if Oracle is providing all the templates, because we don't have any flexibility to create our own templates, right? Only Oracle, whatever the Oracle provides, we need to use those templates to load any data. So in that scenario, like the initiate data load, there's nothing that we can do in that one, right? It's just using the existing template. That's it.
Yes. If you get a very fresh instance, you'll not have these templates generated for you. So you would have to run the process that would generate the template for you. And the other scenario, as I mentioned, would be in case there are some updates to HDL, and then you would have to regenerate the template. So those are the two scenarios. It's more or less like a setup activity. You wouldn't do it too often.
Okay.
It's just usually 1 or 2 times deal, not more.
Okay.
And
generally,
the other part which, sorry. Sridhar, the other part where you're referring to say that Oracle gives you a certain template and you don't have the flexibility of the columns. The flexibility which Oracle provides you is you can restructure or reorder the columns that you can populate. That's the flexibility which Oracle provides you, but you need to follow the same naming convention which you have in the template.
Okay.
Okay, and you had some other question.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like when we are loading these data, like say for example, if it is a fresh implementation, generally you get from the legacy system, right? But what if they are migrating from the existing, like upgrading from Oracle EBS release 12 to Oracle Fusion, or are they coming from the PeopleSoft system to the Fusion? In that scenarios, does Oracle provide any automatic process that will just upload all the data for us, or like still do we need to go through this whole data conversion process?
There are some toolkits published by Oracle, both for PeopleSoft and as well as EBS, which you can leverage that script, and then you'll have to run those scripts on your EBS system or your PeopleSoft system to generate the file in the way Oracle recommends, the template format. Oracle doesn't give you the complete code for it. It gives you some samples, some couple entities, and then you'll have to build on top of that code. And not all attributes would be handled in that code. So there are some extraction toolkits provided by Oracle, but they're not full-fledged.
Okay. So it's not like seamless where the data is converted directly from PeopleSoft to EBS, or even though if they are from EBS R12 also, there is nothing like seamless.
Yes. One reason being the way that you map the attributes are different. A Fusion system itself it's a combination of PeopleSoft. It's a combination of EBS. So you'll find concepts coming from different ERP systems into Fusion. That's why it's called Fusion. So there is no seamless integration between these systems. But Oracle might come up with some solution. But currently, what they have is these toolkits that you can leverage, and you can integrate these two systems. But when you say a seamless integration, you would have a scenario wherein the client still wants to retain his legacy system, the PeopleSoft system or the EBS system. In those cases, you would have to build an integration yourself so that both the systems are in sync, but one of the systems will become the source system. The other system will be completely locked down for data entry. So does this answer you, Sridhar?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking in terms of like in Fusion, if the table structures and everything remains same as in Oracle EBS R12, then it should not be a hard thing to do that. But I'm not sure, like in Fusion existing implementations, how they are going about it. My understanding was like if the table structures and entities are same, it could be done. But if there is any change, then yes, we can't do that. So
yeah, you
I don't
actually
know.
answered. Yeah, the answer to your question is yes. Oracle has further normalized those tables. For example, you have the for all people of table in EBS, and you might have gender, date of birth in the same table, right? Whereas in Fusion, this information is stored in a table which is called as legislative data table for person related person legislative. I don't know the exact name, but that's the table, person legislative information. So the person number is held in person table, the date of birth, gender, all these informations are stored in a different table. So the table structures are different from EBS and PeopleSoft. They are further normalized.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So I was actually trying to show you the areas from which you would be uploading the files. Let's just stick to that. So this is the first area where you would be uploading your files from. This is the data exchange, import and load work area. This is the actual HDL process area where you would be uploading your files. You'll be checking if the process have completed successfully or not. And also you'll be reviewing the error messages. So to upload a file, you just click over here. You have two options. You can either import the file or import a local file. When you use the import local file, you will be importing the file from your local machine. Okay. If I click this button, and then it will provide me an option to choose a file anywhere from within my machine, my local machine, from this desktop. Okay. In case if I have already uploaded a file onto the content server from a different source, either through a web service or through the two other areas which I'm going to show you now, you would click on import file, and then you will have the file names that you can import. You can also search with the content ID that the universal content system would generate, and then you'll pass that content ID here, and then you'll select the file that you want to upload. Okay. So this is the HDL work area where you can directly import the file or select the file that you have uploaded onto the content server from this option. Okay. Now let's go to the other option of uploading the file from the Fusion system. You will go to Navigator, and then at the very bottom in Tools, you will have what is called as File Import and Export. It's under Setup and Maintenance. Under Tools, you'll have this option of File Import and Export. Okay. So if I want to add a new file, I'll just click on this plus icon. I'll choose the zip file from my system. Let's say I'll choose this file right now. And the account that you want to use will be HCM import. HCM data loader export. Okay, just kidding. Okay, there is another question. In what scenarios we would export a file from this area? Okay, Rajesh, the scenario would be if, let's say, you are on the data exchange work area. Let's go back to the data exchange work area. And we had scenarios wherein we weren't able to upload the file for some random reason. We were in the middle of data migration, and we are trying to upload the same way Oracle has asked us to upload the file, but the file wasn't uploading, or that particular work area wasn't functioning as expected. We weren't able to upload the file from this area for some reason. Okay. So in this scenario, this is the workaround. You would upload the file using the file import work area. Does that answer your question, Rajesh? This doesn't come out too often. This is one scenario where we came across, and then we are sharing our experience with you guys.
Okay. So the question is about the export part of it. So we say a file import and export, right? So there must be some functionality where we export a file from the web content server to our local desktop machine or somewhere. So is that available here in this page or in the screen? Can we export a file?
I'm not sure about exporting part, but yes, maybe you can definitely, if you have the content ID or if the system generates some file for you, and then you can, I think you should be able to export a file. But we didn't come across any scenario wherein you're actually exporting the file from Fusion, from this work area.
Okay, because the
but
screen says
let's say
file import and export, yeah.
Yes, if there is some process in the backend that generates an output file for you, and it will sometimes, those processes will, for example, through HCM extracts, you're trying to generate some extract file and you're placing it on the content server, and then you have the content ID generated. You can use that content ID here to search for it, and then you can place those files in one of these accounts.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm trying to look for the import option for HCM, but I don't see that unless they have discontinued. Okay, I have that here.
So, Srinivas, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So you said when using the initial data load from there, when we can't upload the data file, we use this file import and export utility, right? So is there any specific reasons that it doesn't allow you to upload from the file from the data exchange area where you try to, is there any these are the specific scenarios where it doesn't allow you, like the data is huge?
No.
Or
No.
Is there any...
There is no restriction on the file size or anything like that, but there are no restrictions based on the data that you're trying to upload or the business object that you're trying to upload. We had faced this situation wherein the product wasn't really good, or there was some bug over there after a patch, and then we had to complete our data migration activity because it was a showstopper for us. We were under some key deadlines. So it's not that because of a certain entity business object that you were stopped from uploading the file. It's because of the instance was behaving abnormally. For example, in this scenario or earlier, Aradeep was facing some odd behavior within the instance that he was not able to share the screen, or something was happening over there abnormally. So certain times, Fusion system, you will see you're working on it, and out of blue, there is some bug that comes up, unrelated bug, some pop-up comes up. So in those scenarios, there is one common error that you usually see related with the Java error, that the work area isn't working or some error, and you have to do this import process. So these are the workarounds for you to bypass that error.
Okay. Thank you.
And once you have uploaded the file from this work area, the file import export work area, the system will generate what is called as content ID. So the content ID is by default, it is hidden. You'll have to enable this column, okay? And then you'll see the content ID here, okay? So this is the content ID you can use as your reference when you're back on your the HDL work area. You can just click on File Import and use this as your reference from here, okay? Any questions on this upload process? Okay. The other area, so both these processes, whether you're uploading the file from the HDL work area, or if you're uploading the file from the file import work area from the Fusion applications, they finally go and reside on the content server, okay? Now let's open up the content server. content server URL is very simple. It's just the Fusion instance system followed by the Fusion instance URL followed by CS. Okay. And this particular Fusion system from Oracle is evolving over almost after every 6 months. You'll see something new feature. You'll see a feature that's working doesn't work abruptly. So you need to keep abreast yourself with the Oracle support site. Try to read as many articles as possible to get the latest information of any features that have been released or discontinued. So Spreadsheet Loader is one such, which is going to come back again in release 7. Okay. So here, what you're seeing right now is the content server. And if I want to upload the files over here, I will click on New Check-in. And then I will use the option as binary executables or zip files. I'll give some title.
Srini, if you can put your initials, so that again for any name or any title, so that and then also with the same request to all the trainees, please put your initials so that we understand, and even if we have any difficulty, it's easier for us to troubleshoot.
Okay. And I'm going to use the option, the security group as FA Fusion Import Export. And then I'll choose a file from my local machine. And if you will have to leave this field content ID blank, please leave it as blank because the system is going to generate that for you. And then I'll just say check-in. So if you see, the system is processing it. And once it gets checked in, you will have your content ID generated. So this is the area, this is the server where all the zip files go and fall for your Spreadsheet Loader conversion or HDL conversion. Okay. And then we'll
there's a question again. If you can look at the chat. After you're done with this, there's a question posted. So.
Okay. Do we need to have any specific roles to get access to the content server, or application integration specialist would suffice? The application specialist integration role will suffice. For actually, the role is HCM. The role name is HCM integration specialist, the human capital management specialist, integration specialist. Okay, in order to get access to the HDL. But to get access to the content server, once you get your user account created, you will have access to the content server. So every user has access to the content server, and then you can publish or upload these files onto the content server. Okay. Does this answer you, Raj? Okay. So once we have the content ID. One
more thing, that import and load data area that you are showing. So that is one area when you're trying to load value set values. This is something that you can use to load values for value sets. So that could be that need not be zip files. That could be any. That could be just a CSV file that you're trying to load. So this is one area where you can use to load value set values, and that may not be a zip file. Okay, so we will. So if we forget by any chance, I'm making a note, but just send us a reminder, and we will send you the sample file for value set as well. Okay.
So one quick question here: is this content server same as the application top environment that we see for EBS R12, or is it something different?
See, the architecture of Fusion applications is in such a way that different modules or different products have been integrated together. Okay, so you have a server for OIM, which will do which is like the LDAP server, which will maintain the roles, responsibilities, the user accounts. Okay, and these are like three, you have a separate server for the web content, you have a separate server for the application itself, the Fusion applications, you'll have a separate server for the BI analytics. So all these are integrated into one area, but they are separate servers. For you, it might look, they are always redirected, or you get directed with the same pod URL. In Fusion, we use the term pod for the term instance in ERP. We say production instance or test instance or the UAT instance. Here we refer the term as pod.
Yeah, that's also going away. So Oracle is coming up with some newer term.
New name again?
Replace pod. Yeah. Yeah.
So Fusion is always changing. So you need to keep yourself abreast with this terminology and then what the term actually means.
What do they call? You said it's called TOD?
Pod.
POD. POD. Yeah.
POD.
Like
okay.
a capsule. Pod is a capsule.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So all these systems are integrated together. So does that answer you, Raj? How the system is? Okay, I'll move on. So once we have this content ID, we can go back to the load and import work area for HDL, and we can actually search with the content ID. Don't render. Unless I've uploaded it in a different account. Another question. Any idea what it is going to be called? Okay. Hardeep, do you have any idea what it's going to be called in future? But right now it's instance of pod.
No, I mean, in one of the release updates, I heard the new term, but I forgot. It keeps changing so much. As long as I'm able to make the other person understand what I mean, I'm fine with that. Like, say, for example, one time I said OTL in one of the Oracle sessions, and they were very upset that I'm calling it OTL. It's time and labor cloud. So they're very touchy about the new terminologies. Okay.
For some reason, I am not able to see this file which I have uploaded, but I will make sure that I have the correct settings, and I'll provide you more details on this piece when you're trying to upload that file from content server. The reason why I'm going through all these areas where you can upload the file is for you guys to get handle of the product as such, so that you'll be hands-on from various areas, and you can provide solutions to various areas. The Web Center is used for various other operations on the Fusion system. It's also used for integration and storing some files. So there are various operations that are done on the Web Center content server. If the client is also using the financial modules or the project modules, they tend to refer to this Web Center for their many of their business transactions, wherein they'll be getting files from either the vendors, or they'll have to send files out to the vendors to be picked up. So the Web Center is the area of the actual data exchange that happens between Fusion and an external system. Okay. Work area, and let me search for the jobs that I've already uploaded. So every job can be associated with a valid grade. So that's why there is a hierarchy, or there is an order in which you'll be uploading the business objects. You load locations first, then you load the grades. The grades are again being referred in positions and jobs. So you need to upload the grades first, and then you refer those grades in your jobs or positions. So let us go into this job, SB Business Manager 101. And if you scroll down all the way in the bottom, you will see valid grades associated with the job. So this was the grade that was uploaded and it was assigned. So you can upload these two pieces together in one file. Okay. Now let's do the same activity now. I'm going to create a couple new jobs. This is the job code, and then followed by the status, active or inactive.
Yeah, you're again putting the same job code, Srini. Again,
okay.
give you the same error.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Abhi. Okay, and then here, if you see, I'm passing the values for full-time or part-time. This will signify this is one of the fields in the front end. If you actually look, it will say whether it's a full-time position or a part-time position, but it's a lookup. And what we are passing here is the lookup code and not the meaning. So we have to be aware of the lookup codes that have been configured, or we can also extract it through BI or HCM extracts. We can extract these lookup codes and pass the codes, not the meaning. Okay. Same with job function. So I'm passing this as an admin job. The manager level, even this is a code. I'm passing it as 5. Next, followed by medical checkup required. I'm passing it as no. Regular or temporary. I'm passing it as regular. And followed by I didn't use the other columns, benchmark job or benchmark job ID, which are not mandatory. But I passed the effective start date and effective end date as well as name for this job. We have a field for passing the language, and that's one reason why I wanted to retain this column. There is you should not pass this value. By default, you'll be passing a code like US or some other territory code based on the language, but don't pass any value for this language field. Just leave it blank, or else it will go into error. Okay. And most of the other columns I've just set it as blank, and then I pass the set code. Once I've prepared my data for the...
I think your base job names also are reflecting the old ones. You want to change those.
Okay. Okay.
And you can load multiple valid grades for each job, because there could be multiple grades valid for a job, so you can load it accordingly.
So I'm not going to change the grades here because these are already existing. This is just for your reference. But what data are you going to pass for valid grades? So the template provides you the effective start date, end date, the editable flag. The valid grade ID is a system generated key. So you are not passing any value here. Okay, it will be null. Grade code is the code of the grade that will be associated with that particular job. So for this job, the very first job, I'm going to upload two grades, SB15HR and SB14HR. Okay, and the job code is linked to this column. The valid grade is linked to the job using this job code. Okay, so this job code SB111 has two valid grades. Now let's try uploading these jobs now. I just saved it. I'll generate a zip file out of it.
And Srini, this particular file is created based on user keys loading, right? If we are using source system ID, then again we need to use source system ID and source system name here, even in this row, correct?
Yes. I'll give you an example where I did upload a record with source system ID. I'll show you how that looks like.
That works.
So in this example, I've uploaded the data using source system ID. So if you see, I've given the source system code as well as the source system ID. This is the legacy system ID. And for this particular job, I'm attaching a grade. Okay. But when I am passing the grade ID, here I'm giving a hint to the system, to the HDL, saying that I'm going to pass the source system ID. So this is the grades source system ID, which I'm passing it here. Okay, is this
okay. Yeah.
clear?
And
Yes,
these
yes, that is
files,
clear.
so these files will be sent out. So will be sample files with source system ID, without source system ID. So you will have it as a reference, so you can try both.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's try uploading this data. I'll go back to the data exchange work area, HDL, and import my local file. So in this one example, you will see how things are tied up, like the master data is tied up with another child entity like job. So I'm passing the grades, attaching the grades here to this particular job. Sridhar is asking a question, can you please show detail to see the order of the load? Okay, I've already shown it earlier. I'll show it to you again. Can we see if the keys are populated for location data? Yeah, we also have a scenario for this. I just showed it. Was it Sridhar asking the same question again? Or I'm going to show you.
That was the old question. Yeah.
Okay, that was an old question. Okay. I'll show you the order of the load. To know the order of the load, you'll have to just go back to your instance again, the same data exchange work area. And once you're on the task panel, click on initiate data load, the place where you have generated the templates. Okay. And then here, you can set the order of the business objects based on your module. Let's select HR core setup.
No, Srinivas, I'm sorry. I'm not asking this order where you see for
Okay.
each module, but the one
Okay.
which we just try to upload the job and grade. I mean, when you give two different entity objects, generally you said like in the detail, it will show which order it's first loading and the second one it is loading, right? So I was
Yes,
asking
yes.
for the specific.
So you want that scenario where you want to upload two business objects together and you want to see the order in that system. We can do
that's
that.
what we did. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
I'll
we
show
did,
you.
right?
Okay, if I'm getting your question correct, you want to see the order over here, right?
Yes. Yes. That's
No, I think
Okay.
so. This particular example, I think, is not a good example because this is like a more of a parent-child. I think who was asking the question, Sridhar, right? So this is more of a parent-child. So it's the same object. You're loading the job and the valid grades for a job. But if you're loading grades and job, which are two different business objects, then you'll see that in the same zip file.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Make sense?
Got it.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, the process completed. But on the UI, I can refresh it. Okay, so we have uploaded two jobs. Now let's go verify the jobs. And for one job, we have uploaded two valid grades.
Srini, just one interruption here. So do you have a zip file that you're going to share with the team that contains two different business objects so they can try to load it, they modify the file,
Yes.
and then try to load?
Yeah, in fact, they can do the same thing, or actually we can re-upload the same objects again if you want.
No, that's okay. I mean, as long as we have the sample file that they can try.
All you have to do is place this location dot file and let's say the grade file and the job file in one zip file. That's it.
Okay.
Put
So
them
if you
together.
have a sample of that, just share it with the team so that. I mean, what I
Okay,
want
I can. Yeah.
in the initial phase is just before you start, becoming very familiar with the process, use these sample files. Just change the code and the name and load and just get yourself familiar before you can try different things. Okay?
I'll also provide them samples where they can load multiple business objects in one shot, and they can play around with that as well.
Correct.
And that way they can see the load order being populated.
Excellent.
Right, now let's go back to the UI and then verify if our jobs got uploaded. I'll pick up the job code SB2111, sorry, 112. And by default, my effective date is set to current date. And I see that it got created. For this job, I did not attach any grades. So you see it's active, full-time, regular, medical checkup, no, manager level, which I pass it as a mid-level manager, admin. So that code has come up. It's not a benchmark job as well, so it's no. Job function, admin, that's the code which I passed for job function. And if I scroll down all the way in the bottom, for this job, we did not attach any grades, so there are no grades here. Now let's search for the other job which we have created. And let's see if the grades got attached, the valid grades got attached. And here you see that there are 2 valid grades attached to the job that we have created.